That's some brand new Dead Daisies right here on your Classic Metal Show, featuring Glenn Hughes on lead vocal instead of John Corabi. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago about the change-up going on in the Dead Daisies camp. So, Chris, what's your thoughts here?
I listened to the song a half a dozen times, and I like the song. I mean, it's okay. It's not awful. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, it's like a Glenn Hughes project.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn, and I don't know if it's just the way things timed out with an interview or whatever, but the timing could not have been worse. They released this song on whatever day it was, Tuesday or Wednesday during the week.
Yeah.
And the same exact day, there's a Blabbermouth headline of him talking about New Black Country Communion in 2021. So it felt, and again, it just felt like zero commitment at all to the Dead Daisies.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, this is going to carry me through for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to make a pit stop here for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a friend in the camp. I won't say who, and I won't say what company he works for or is part of or any of that kind of shit.
You say you have a friend?
I have a friend. I have a source. Deep cover source.
I have this friend.
I have this friend. He's deep within the Dead Daisies camp.
Right.
But he just was like, I asked him, I said, what has the response been that you've seen? And his answer was pretty much what we saw when I posted it on the CMS socials, which is, I don't think anybody wants to hate it. I think Glenn Hughes is respected enough that nobody, it's not Bret Michaels. It's not Bret Michaels where people would just see the name and be like, oh, this is fucking trash without listening to it. It's Glenn Hughes is a very respected guy. And he's clearly a talent. I mean, he definitely has amazing vocal talent. But I just don't think it fits. I mean, I think the guy David Lowery, the dude that that is in charge of the Dead Daisies, I think he's making a huge fucking mistake. And it's not so much about who you want to play with or who you don't want to play with or anything like that. It's, man, when you have a band that is actually hitting, you don't fuck that up, or you try your damnedest not to fuck that up.
Well, you don't screw with the chemistry.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of talk from the people that are like the Dead Daisies freaks, the big time fans of the Dead Daisies. They're all saying, well, they changed singers once before when they had John Stevens in there, and then they switched to John Corabi. And it's like, yeah, okay, but this is kind of like the Judas Priest scenario. You had Al Atkins, no one gave a shit. You brought in Rob Halford, all of a sudden people gave a shit. And now you got Ripper, and even though Ripper had better skills than Rob Halford, people didn't give a shit. Because they wanted the guy that they gave a shit about. It's the same thing with Dead Daisies. They had John Stevens. Nobody cared about the Dead Daisies when John Stevens was in the band. They put out an album. Did you even know that?
I was not aware.
Yeah, but when Corabi joined, all of a sudden you heard the name because people jumped on board with Corabi, and they had a unique sound and a unique energy that was their own. And now with Glenn Hughes, all right, Glenn Hughes is a better singer than John Corabi. I'll say it. He is. But
he's not the same singer.
He's not the singer of the Dead Daisies. He's not the Rob Halford of the Dead Daisies. He's the Ripper Owens of the Dead Daisies. And it's going to be the same thing. I honestly think they are going to tank. I think that these big tours that they've had and everything are going to go away. Because people just, they're not going to want to do it. They're not going to want to see the Glenn Hughes experience. They loved having Corabi. They loved having Marco. And Marco is a bigger loss than I think people are giving him credit for. Marco's a fucking performer on stage, man. And, now you're not gonna have his presence, and you're gonna have a singer that's also playing bass, so he can't be as animated. It's like the song. I'll listen to the album because I'll listen to anything that Glenn Hughes does, but is it going to be as good? I don't think so. I think it's going to, and I also think it's going to be one and done. I think Hughes will he'll obligate to touring, and then he'll do a record, and then he'll be like, oh, fuck it. Joe Bonamassa is back. I'm out to Black Country Communion again.
Right.
That's my guess.
Well, I've seen I've seen Marco Mendoza with Whitesnake along with
Doug.
Yeah, along with Doug, which is what I was driving at. And
right.
As a combo, those two complement each other very well.
Mm-hmm.
And they have that same chemistry
right
in this Dead Daisies.
Yeah, they do.
Or had that same chemistry now that Marco's no longer with them.
Yeah, exactly. Now Marco's gonna do something else, and I already see that Karabi's playing shows with a band called Suicide Angels or Lost Angels or something. I don't know anything about the band other than it's named guys. It's Troy Patrick Farrell from, what was he in, White Lion?
Yeah, he's been a session guy.
Yeah, he's in this band, and Karabi and the guy that sang on the first Slash's Snake Pit record, the Jellyfish guy.
Right. Eric Dover.
Eric Dover's in that band, and I forget who the other guy is, but it's another kind of an all-star project. So Karabi's already moved on, so he'll be fine. But I don't know, dude. I mean, again, I don't hate the song, but it doesn't sound like the Dead Daisies. It sounds like Glenn Hughes. At least that's my feel. Well, play a little of it.
All right.
Let's see what people think.
Let's play some.
Okay.
Rock song,
yeah,
but I think what it is that there's nothing that distinguishes it or gives it any uniqueness or personality.
You got Spotify open over there.
Yeah,
pull up One Last Soul by Black Country Communion, because this is the comparison. Is it compared to what else he's been doing? And you'll see it just sort of sounds the same. I mean, a little different because it's different musicians, but it's the same thing. Find it?
What's the name of the tune?
One Last Soul.
All right.
It's from BCC 1.
All right. Let me see here.
I think it's 1. It's like track 2.
Yeah, I got it. Here it goes.
Mm.
Got a roll in the big scheme. Now you're ready to shine.
Now, if you heard those two songs back to back, would you be able to distinguish them as Band A and Band B?
No, I would think they were on the same album.
Yeah, and that's my point. Is the Dead Daisies have a unique sound?
Yeah,
and now they don't. Now they've been morphed into the Glenn Hughes sound. That's the Glenn Hughes sound.
Well, I think this goes back to our good friend Bob Nalbandian. Is this band or brand now?
Yeah.
I think it's more brand now because, hey, we got this name brand guy, Glenn Hughes.
Yeah.
Is it about the brand? Yeah, is it about the band now? No, I don't think so.
I don't think it's about either. I think they pissed away their brand. No,
they're making their brand
his band.
Well, yeah. They're making their brand known as Glenn Hughes.
Yeah, but that's like saying that Van Halen or David Lee Roth's Skyscraper is really sort of Van Halen. It's not. It's totally different. And this is totally the same as Glenn. It's not the same as what Dead Daisies were. They pissed away what they had, a successful brand that I personally think is just going to go right down the shitter.
Well, I agree, but what I'm trying to say is that they're trying to rebrand Dead Daisies with a higher profile frontman.
Right? Yeah, I guess, but it's just not going to work.
No, I agree. I completely agree, but it seems like that's what the objective is.
Yeah. And dude, the weird part of it is, at least for me, and I think Glenn too, I want it to work. I'm a gigantic fan of Glenn, not only as a musician, I'm a huge fan of his voice and his work. Love Glenn Hughes. Anything he's done, I'm always on board for. But he's a really nice guy. I mean, he's been super nice to me doing interviews. You've interviewed him too, haven't you?
Well, you and I both interviewed him when he told us about the death of Kevin Dubrow.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, that was a heart-wrenching story he was telling us about how Kevin Dubrow spent Thanksgiving with him.
Right, that's right.
And when he didn't call or show up or whatever, and they're just like, what happened to Kevin? We haven't heard from Kevin.
And he went over to his house and found him.
Well, I don't know that he found him, but they did make some phone calls to say, right. what the fuck happened to him? And so I think they called some mutual friend,
right,
who went over there to check up on him and found him dead.
Yeah, I do remember that, and he was really sad on the phone. He
was just like, that was like a yearly thing, Kevin would come to my house, and
right.
It's like, holy shit.
It's weird because I've gotten just a shit ton of mail about this because people know I wrote the Corabi book. And so they know I like John Corabi. And there's no bones to pull on that one, or nothing to make up there. I'm a huge John Corabi fan. And I like to see him do anything successfully, and I'll support anything that he does. And it really, this just feels kind of betrayalish to him, the way that they did this and just switched. And again, I wish it was somebody that I didn't like. I really wish it wasn't Glenn Hughes. I wish it was Vince Neil or Brett Michaels. Or Brett Michaels or somebody like that I really just fucking don't like at all. Because then it would be easy to hate on the project. But when you think about the Dead Daisies, one, we like Glenn. We both have a definite like of him as a guy because we've had good interactions with him. Two, we both like Doug Aldrich, and we've both had very good interactions with Doug. So, we like Doug as well. And being honest, we both like John and Marco. So, we actually know all these guys, and it's just like, wow, this sucks when you actually know the guys. I wish I could go back to not knowing anybody. It's easier to pick a side when you don't fucking like all the players.
Sure.
You know what? Fuck David Lowery, just because I don't know him.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck that asshole.
Yeah, he ruined a good thing.
He ruined it. And since he's the only guy we haven't met, fuck him.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? what do you think the impetus behind this change is? Do you think it's trying to raise the profile?
No.
You don't?
No. I honestly think, and this is from various people that I've talked to.
Oh, you mean your friends?
Well, different people that I've talked to. I've heard that Lowry, I don't know what he did before, but he has extremely deep pockets.
Okay.
And Dead Daisies was always supposed to be a project that he could fund to play with people that he wanted to play with. And it just sort of took off.
All right.
But he still wants to play with different people.
Okay, so it was a happy accident.
Yeah. But what I don't think he sees is that the backlash is going to be, you know what, you're going to be reduced back to, you're not going to be getting that call from Kiss to fucking open their full tour anymore.
I gotcha. All right. Well, so he's a, for lack of a better term, a trust fund baby.
Yeah, or I don't know how he made his money.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of money, and so he's living his dream,
right,
working with musicians he likes and respects.
Correct. And
because
he probably was a huge Glenn Hughes fan,
yeah,
as we all are.
Yeah, and because his formula worked, and made some buzz out there, which might have been unexpected by him. It was not going to deter him from exploring his options.
Right, exactly.
I get it. Okay,
I get it. I just think it's a wrong guy.
As a fan, it was a bad move.
And again, I don't want to shit. This is so fucking difficult because I don't want to shit on Glenn.
But it's not a Glenn thing. This isn't an issue about Glenn. This is an issue about band and chemistry and what you've grown to enjoy about Dead Daisies.
True, but part of it is about Glenn, though. There's that other piece to it too. Glenn does not exactly have the best history of being long-term in bands.
That is true.
I mean, he was short-term in Purple. He was short-term in, he had Black Country Communion, which I guess is kind of an on-again, off-again project these days. Not his fault. I know Joe Bonamassa is the reason that project comes in and out of phase. But then he went and did California Breed when Bonamassa was out. And that only lasted one record and tour. And then he broke off from that and then started doing the Deep Purple touring again. And now we're already talking about Black Country Communion again. And it doesn't seem like, if they're looking for any sort of commitment, and maybe Lowry's not, maybe he just wants to do one record with Glenn, but it just doesn't seem like he picked a guy that's going to grow with the band and take it to the next level at all. And it's just in a time that we're in 2019, where it is unbelievably difficult to get any buzz as a band, it just seems like a dumb move.
Well, I guess if you're self-funded and you have deep pockets, as you put it, maybe the money doesn't matter. Maybe the success doesn't matter
to him. But don't you think that a guy like Doug Aldridge, that's been fighting the battle for 25 years?
Do you think he cares?
I think he cares if he was onto something that was hitting and it fucking falls apart. Yeah.
No. I'm talking about Doug Lowry. Do you think he cares?
Apparently no.
If he's fine, it's just like, well, you're a seasoned musician. Speaking of like a Doug or a Marco or whomever it is, it's like you'll find another gig.
Yeah, but what a shitty way to run.
It might be, but the music business is shitty. We all know that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just shit. I guess because I was a fan of the band, and I'm not going to say I'm not, because I will promise you, when they put out a record with Glenn Hughes on it, I will listen to it like a fucking mental patient.
Right.
Because I love Glenn Hughes' music, and I think he can do just about no wrong.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that.
Yeah.
Who is that guy? And this just escapes me, but I know it exists. Who's the guy who does the shows in Brazil? I think it's Brazil or South America or somewhere. He always changes players, and he gets all these high-profile players to play with him, but it's never the same lineup. We had him on the show, and I can't think of who the band is.
Wow, I don't know.
Yeah, boy.
It's not not James Rivera, is it?
No, it's not that. It's a guy. He's very successful in like Sao Paulo or something like that, and he does these shows, and he's always got these different lineup changes. I know we've had him on the show before. We've interviewed him, but he's put out records. Oftentimes they're live records. I cannot think of who the guy is, but has a lot of success down there.
Seeing if I can cobble together any kind of search for that. Hard rock varied lineup, Sao Paulo. God, I don't know. Nothing's coming up. It's not like Danny Vaughn or one of them guys.
No. But the guy, we had him on the show, and I think we had him on for like one of his live releases or something like that. And he's always changing people all the time. Mm-hmm. It's never one solid lineup. It's just like he's constantly changing members.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure who.
Yeah, I can't think of who it was, but we were promoting it one time, regardless of who it was. But I think it's the same type of situation, obviously.
Yeah, but doesn't the fact that neither one of us can fucking figure out who the fuck we're talking about, doesn't that tell something? We could certainly name the Dead Daisies.
Yeah, but that's because it has U.S. players.
True, but we can't even name this one guy. It's not like Jorn Land or somebody.
No, it's not him. I would know that if it was him, but I'm going to have to look, during the next break to see if I could figure out who it is.
Okay.
But he's one of these guys who puts on these shows. They're pretty elaborate stage shows.
Right.
But he's got all these, name brand people it's kind of like that show.
Avantasia?
Who is it?
Avantasia? Guy?
No. It's not Toby.
Yeah, Toby.
It's not him. It's sort of the similar situation as the Vault in Vegas.
Oh, well, let's see. There's Shortino. I don't know. Dude, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
All right.
But, yeah, it's the same thing. This guy has, like, unlimited funds.
Right.
And he just hires these guys to step in and do his music.
Right.
And then the next time he does it again, it's like a whole different lineup. But, they're performing his music.
Right. Yeah, well, I guess it is similar to that. I mean, I think it's just the relative success of the band in 2000. I think that's where the sticking point is for most fans with Dead Daisies. Is, there's a million of these fucking I'll call them lineup bands.
Well, that's what they are.
Yeah, that Frontiers throws together. The Revolution Saints and, bands like that Serafino over there at Frontiers says, okay, put this singer with this drummer and this guitar player and this bass player and boom, go into a studio and make a record. There's bunches of those bands that are out there. And none of them find any success. They do it for fucking fun and, they might get a second record because they entertain Serafino, but I mean, like Revolution Saints. Is anybody talking about that band?
No.
Nobody's talking about it. It's a good band. They have good music, but who cares? Dead Daisies is like that, kind of, except they all of a sudden hit. And it just seems weird, Maybe it's because we know too many musicians. I mean, how many musicians do we know that would kill to have that tiny bit of success to where the brand became acknowledged worldwide, and then all of a sudden just see it blown up like this. Just, all right, we're gonna get rid of the main guy, the guy that changed everything. The guy that took them from a no-name fucking side project into a legitimate band. Well, now we're getting rid of him, and we're going to replace him by a big name, but somebody that is questionable as to the fit in the project.
Well, I think again, you're obviously looking at it from a fan perspective.
Well, yeah.
But from what's the guy's name? The main guy,
David Lowery.
Yeah, from his perspective, it's just like, okay, been there, done that. All right, next. What's next?
I guess. You know what? Do that in your backyard. Why do we have to fucking hear it? Just jam at your house.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to listen to it.
Yes, I do. Because
no, you don't.
He had my favorite guys on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, pal.
Yeah, you're drawing me in with the talent that you're recruiting.
David Lowery fucked me, man.
Yeah, man. Oh well.
How dare he try to change my band?
Yeah. Well, I guess you're just gonna have to accept it and enjoy it for the music's sake of
I'm
whatever
just gonna
it is.
not listen anymore. All I'm gonna listen to is "Burn It Down" from the Dead Daisies. Fuck the Glenn Hughes era. I'm gonna be like all the Van Halen fans. Fuck Sammy.
Yeah.
And double fuck Gary. That's me now. Double fuck Glenn.
Well, since you brought that up, our good friend Sammy Lee.
Yeah.
You had told him that his band Red Rain got to open up for Extreme.
Right, sure.
And you basically had told Sammy that he would enjoy meeting Gary Cherone.
I did, yeah.
And what did Sammy have to tell you?
Well, when I told Sammy that, he was in absolute denial. He's like, I'm not going to fucking like meeting this guy. He was literally bitching that he didn't want to play the gig because of Gary Cherone. Because he didn't want to play with that fucking Van Halen traitor guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, talk to him. You will fucking love Gary. He's like the nicest dude. And he's like, we'll see. We'll see. You know, he was definitely like, we'll see. And then he met him. And from what I understand, he ended up sitting at a table with him for like 25 minutes just shooting the shit about everything that went on in Van Halen and, and just got himself a real dose of what actually happened. And he hit me up. He's like, dude, you were so right, man. Fucking Gary's like the nicest guy. And he was like, yeah, Nuno was really nice too. And I was like, well, I'll question that one, but because Nuno's a cunt. But Gary's always been nice. And, I've met Gary a few times and I've interviewed him several times with his Hurt Smile project.
Right.
The band that he does with his brother. And, always a super, super nice guy and always honest, always never one of these guys that gives you the stock answer about anything. And I just knew that, and how Sammy is, he's so low key, in person, when you meet Sammy, he's like, hey, what's up? He's definitely not super alpha male guy. And I just knew that if he got in front of Gary, he would have a nice chat. And I was happy for him that he ended up getting a large amount of time instead of hey man, how you doing? Handshake, now get off my stage thing.
Exactly.
But he did. He got like 25 minutes to just shoot the shit with Gary Cherone, which I thought that was very cool.
Yeah. Well, Sammy did call me and he said, yeah, we opened up for Extreme and Chris was absolutely right. And I got to meet Gary Cherone and we sat and talked and it was really cool. And he gave me a lot of backstories and insight. And I didn't know if I'd like the guy, but yeah, he was really badass. And I'm glad Chris, kind of talked me into, liking him because I had these preconceived ideas.
Right. Why would you have that with somebody you've never met?
Well, because of the prejudice. It's just like, oh, I'm a Van Halen guy and I'm all about David Lee Roth and, you can't fill that throne and who are you? And
see, I tried to preface it with Sammy because I know he's like that. And I tried to preface Sammy by saying, well, you can't hate Gary because Gary didn't replace Roth. Gary replaced Sammy. And for all you fucking Roth people, you should love Gary for that. Because he replaced the guy that you guys think stinks.
Yeah. Well, because he filled that singer mantle.
Yeah. But, Gary's a great dude. And I'm glad Sammy got to have that moment. And, never know. Maybe Sammy will end up... Wouldn't that be something if Sammy opened like a Sammy Hagar show and ended up liking Sammy Hagar?
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
Now, and it could happen too, because Sammy's a really pretty cool cat too when you meet him.
Yeah, I've never met Sammy Hagar at all.
I've
been to his shows, but I've never met him in person.
The one time he played a MMS. I don't know what it was. It was like some coffee break concert bullshit thing. It was at the Odeon, and it was only supposed to be 3 songs, but we showed up early for it, and we ended up hanging out with the Wabaritas, and Sammy popped in at one point.
Okay.
Oh my God. I don't know that I've ever drank so much in such a small amount of time.
Well, what were you drinking? Was it the tequila?
Yeah, it was the Cabo tequila. He had cases of it with him.
Well, yeah, of course.
But it was weird seeing cases of this, it's expensive tequila. I mean, not to him, obviously, it's his, but he had cases of it, and people were just passing like whole bottles to everybody that was backstage. And we drank a shit ton of tequila. And it was funny because then they went out on stage and they were only supposed to do like, I think like 3 or 4 songs or something. So they did the 3 or 4 songs, and then Sammy thought, because he was fucked up, he thought that the radio broadcast went away, but the radio broadcast still was going. And he goes, all right, now that we're done with that fucking bullshit, let's get to some fucking rock and roll. And he just dropping F-bombs like fucking fuck. And the whole, and I was kind of where Matt and I were standing watching the show. We were like next to like the guy from MMS, and we just looked at this guy and he was freaking the fuck out because Sammy had to be 10 F-bombs in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, and it's hard to do a 7-second delay on somebody in a row.
Yeah, exactly. They probably had to cut the commercial. They probably had to dump the commercial. But it was just funny because Sammy just really did not realize what was going on. But it was great. And then it was funny because he was only supposed to play like 4 songs. He played a full set, like an hour and a half, and then drove to Akron and played again. Played later that night at Akron and played another full set. It was crazy, but it was cool. Sammy's he's another guy it's kind of a bummer that Sammy has kind of insulated himself off, because when he was in Van Halen, he really was he was probably the biggest star of that time that we had access to. We always had access to Sammy. Like anytime Sammy would play either with Van Halen or even right when he first got out of Van Halen, we had Sammy on the metal show, 3, 4, 5 times.
Right.
We did stuff with Sammy, but now he's very insulated. I don't know why. I don't know. I would think at this point, he's 70 years old. He's, worth $500 million. You would think at this point he would not, he wouldn't be worried so much about press. But he really locks it down now. He really doesn't do anything but like New York Times and Eddie Trunk and
yeah. Well, again, it's the whole raising the profile thing.
Yeah, but how much higher does Sammy Hagar need to go?
Well, he has to maintain that though.
But is he maintaining that by being aloof?
Yeah, because it kind of leads to the mystery of it. It's just like let's just talking about people in that genre or that in that category.
Yeah.
Like John Mellencamp.
Mm-hmm.
You can't talk to John Mellencamp. He only does top shelf interviews.
Right.
Same thing. I don't think like a Mick Jagger just talks to anybody.
It's just sad though. How much bigger would those guys be if they were talking to the people that actually reached their fans? I always wonder that, and maybe I'm clueless on this, but do you think a Sammy Hagar, as an example, who do you think he would reach more with? Talking to a higher end podcast, a Dean Del Rey, say.
Okay.
He's a pretty big popular podcast that does music, or the LA Times. Who do you think Sammy Hagar would sell more tickets to? Or more albums? I think Dean Del Rey.
Maybe, but maybe they're not concerned about sales and they're just more concerned about their image.
Yeah, maybe. It just seems like when you do stuff with, I don't know, with Rolling Stone or with the LA Times or Washington Post or whatever, it's like you're playing to not your audience. You're instead of reaching to the sources that reach your actual audience, you would think. You're going out on tour, you want to reach the people that'll buy tickets to the tour, you would think. But instead they're doing the LA Times, or is that what the paper is in LA Times?
Yeah, it's LA Times.
Yeah, that's you would think that they would be smarter than that.
Well, again, when you limit your exposure, you become the guy that you want to get. It's just like, well, nobody gets Sammy Hagar, and I got him. One of those deals.
Right. I guess that makes sense. It just, I don't know.
Well, again, I guess it all depends on your management, your publicist who you work with.
Right.
How they're trying to market you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just seems to me that it's always felt to me like poor management. And maybe that has something to do with, getting snubbed on interviews here and there, but it just doesn't, certain bands, it just doesn't make sense to me that are allegedly fan friendly, and then they turn out not to be. Sammy being one of them.
Well, let's look at a guy that we both know who's kind of a dick, and is very limited in his access, but a lot of people love him. John Bon Jovi.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. People do love him for some reason, but
because he represents the minivan driving moms.
Mark Striegel.
Well, whatever. But the thing is that he's a crossover artist.
Yeah.
And again, his access to him is very limited.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Dude, did you happen to hear that fucking audio I sent you?
I did.
Oh, what happened? How can... here's my problem with it. If you find it, we can play it or not. I don't care, but it is funny to hear. But Bon Jovi, whether you like Bon Jovi or you hate Bon Jovi, I'm sure people are all like, oh, fuck Bon Jovi, man. Fucking sucks. Fair enough if you don't like Bon Jovi. But it's not hard music to sing. He's the kind of musician that it's not the kind of music that really stretches your vocals to hit the notes.
That is true.
How can he suck so bad now? I get even like a Vince Neil. I get it. That's a higher end register. That's hard to hit. A Dokken. That's hard to hit. Some of those notes in those songs are hard to hit. It is not hard to hit any song in You Give, or any note in You Give Love a Bad Name, or Runaway, or Wanted Dead or Alive. These are, I'm not a great singer. I'm an average singer, and I can hit every note of these songs. And hearing Bon Jovi today trying to do Runaway and being off key and not able to hit the notes, it's like, what the fuck happened? Does he spend too much time talking during the day?
I think that his voice is just fried.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk 6 hours every single week.
Yeah, but, the thing is singing is a whole different thing.
I guess, and I would get it if Bon Jovi music was Dokken music. I would get it. Or there's a lot, I'm a prisoner.
Right.
Those higher end notes, I get that, but I mean, ooh, she's a little runaway. That's regular voice. And I'm in pitch right there, I think, right? I'm in key. Just throwing it out there. It's not hard. It's not putting any pressure on my throat or anything. He should be able to do this.
You would think.
And he's terrible now. Just awful.
Well,
who's going to see these shows?
Well, let's listen to a little bit. This is Bon Jovi doing Always.
Okay.
He's did this. This is just in June. This was just like 2 months ago in Wembley Stadium.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Romeo's bleeding. You can't see his blood. You nothing but some feelings. It's all on kicked up. It's been raining since you left me, and I'm gone in the flood. See, I've always been a fighter Without you, I'll give up. I can't sing a love song the way it's meant to be. I guess I'm not good anymore. Maybe that's just me.
He sounds okay there.
He sounds fine there. I mean, that's probably the hardest song he has in his whole catalog. You know, of songs that has the highest notes. Find that Runaway from, when was that from? I mean, it's recent, and it was so bad. Like, he just sounded so out of pitch. And Runaway is not a hard song. He sounded okay there.
Yeah,
I would actually see that if I was still going to Bon Jovi shows.
Let me see here. This was live in Sonborg back in June?
I think that's what it is, yeah.
All right, let's check this out.
Is it Runaway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the street we live, they talk about the social life. They made a lipstick, plastic and paint, that touches evil in their eyes. All your life, all your ass, anybody gonna talk to you. You were living in another world, trying to get a message through. Ain't no one heard a single word he said. They should have seen it in your eyes. What was going on your head? Oh, she's a little runaway. That is girl affairs. All the things you couldn't say. Oh, she's a little runaway.
Well, he's got the advantage of having good bandmates who do good backup vocals.
Yeah, he sounds like it's like Down syndrome John singing the song. He's like a little bit off on the song, like
right.
he's slow or something. It just sounds bad. Guaranteed to blow your mind. It's like, oh, dude, he's got sort of that Vince Neil, just sort of flinging sounds together that are close. It's like, dude, come on. And okay, it's one thing with Vince Neil if you spend $35 on a ticket. It's another with a Bon Jovi where you probably dropped $1.50 to go.
Yeah.
I mean, Bon Jovi. I don't imagine Bon Jovi tickets are cheap. Do you think?
No, not at all. I mean, he's one of those. God bless him. He's maintained his status in arena. Arena and stadium status.
Mm-hmm.
After all these years. I mean, what, Bon Jovi came out in the early 80s, right?
83. 83 was the first album. Yeah.
All right. So here we are, 40, say 83, 93, 03, 13, 30, 36 years later.
Yeah.
And he's still playing very large venues, stadiums over in Europe, as well as arenas here.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, God bless him, I guess. I mean, maybe now he can afford to fucking pay Lon Friend. Haven't forgotten that story.
Yeah, I know. How sad.
I mean, he's a piece of shit human being from everything I've heard.
Yeah, everybody that I've ever talked to that has had personal interaction with John Bon Jovi, never a good story.
No, he's always, and he was a dick to me. The one time I met him, he was kind of a dick. Richie was really cool. Richie was great. And of course now he's not in the band, but he was nice, super friendly. Hey, come on over, sit down.
Yeah.
What's going on? John was just a dick.
Well, our good friend Ryan Cook, formerly of Hair of the Dog.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget the story he told me. He says, yeah, we were really so excited as Hair of the Dog. We got to open up for Bon Jovi like on 2 or 3 shows.
Right.
He said that was such a big break for us, and we were really excited. And he said we did our opening set. I was kind of standing backstage, and John came walking down to the stage before their set. And, I was really happy to meet him. And I walked over and I said, hey, man, I'm Ryan Cook. I'm glad to meet you. You're such an influence, blah, blah, blah. And he said, John just looked at him and goes, who are you again? And how did you get back here?
It's like, fuck you, Dick.
Yeah.
How about stick your hand out, fist bump, or shake the hand, and move the fuck on?
Yeah. Say thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks. Same with Vince. And I mean, I know you experienced that firsthand, too. The whole fucking turn around so that don't look at the great Vince Neil. Fuck you. And Brett, too. Brett with that fucking clear the hallway.
Yeah, clear the hallway.
You.
Close the doors.
Yeah, fuck you and clear the hallway. I'm not getting out of the hallway. Fuck him.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. That was the funniest goddamn thing. I was at Tinley Park, which is a big venue here in Chicago.
Right.
And I think it was 2010, if I'm not mistaken. 2008 or 2010, somewhere around there.
Right.
And Dokken was playing on that Poison tour.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have this, they have the dressing rooms down this one hallway.
Right.
And so Big John
mm-hmm.
comes walking down the hallway. Clear the hallway! Clear the hallway! And so, everybody's like leaving the hallway, and it says, close the dressing room doors. So all the dressing room doors had to be closed.
Yeah.
And
so
the hallway had to be clear so the great Bret Michaels could walk to the stage.
So the king could come through.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Close the dressing room doors.
Well, it's no secret my love for that dude. I mean, you saw it firsthand when I was screaming at that fucking Big John guy.
Yeah, at Blossom.
At Blossom, I was all drunk and he wasn't going to do the meet and greet. I was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah. We put you on the cover of
our magazine.
Bottom Line. What the fuck?
And we featured you on our fucking radio show. Remember, I was screaming at him, and that Big John guy came over and told me, you need to shut up. And I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like, you might beat my ass, but you're going to remember it, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I was trash. Remember, we were...
Oh, yeah.
We were sitting backstage with Don, and they had like a cooler or something right there. And that was before I had any band etiquette at all. And I was drinking everything in the cooler.
Right.
I was really fucked up, but I was pissed. I mean, what a bitch move to have people wait 2 fucking hours and sign 2 autographs, and then just because some chick says she'll suck your dick, you're going to leave.
Right.
Fuck you. Finish signing the pictures, and then she'll still suck your dick. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. How long does it take to fucking sign 50 autographs? 20 minutes?
Yeah.
You're on tour. You're Bret Michaels. You've had your dick sucked before. You can give 20 minutes to these fucking creeps that spent several $100s to fucking get their picture taken with you. Fucking piece of shit fuck. I still hate that fucking guy.
I know you do.
I hate him, dude. I've never forgiven that moment, and I don't think I ever can, because he tries to come off. You know why I think it bothers me so much? Because of the public image that he has.
Yeah.
And all these dumb fucking housewives that just think that he's the fucking cat's meow. Oh, Brett is so sweet, and he does such nice. He's a cocksucker. He's a motherfucking asshole. And he doesn't care about you unless you're spending money.
Exactly.
You know, if you showed up and you don't have your checkbook out, he won't even fucking spit on you if you're on fire.
True.
He's a fucking asshole. And I hate him. I see him on TV, and what was that? He was doing some show about his house or some shit, and I was like, man, I hope that fucking place burns down. I every time I see him, I just wish the worst on that guy. I can't fucking stand him. And then when he releases his shit music, you know you want it. Ugh.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't want. That's one guy whose music, and I'll freely admit to it. I liked Poison. I did like Poison. I dislike him so much, and he's probably the only musician I will say this about. I dislike him so much that I can't listen to his music anymore.
Yeah.
Any of it. I just can't. You know, it just does. It's just the quality has been lowered to a point that I can't take him anymore. You know, it just sucks.
Well, I agree.
Can you listen to them anymore?
No, I haven't listened to that in years.
Yeah. I mean, do you still like some of the songs?
You know what? The only Poison song that I've actually could say that I really enjoyed a lot is I always like that Something to Believe in.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah.
But I can't listen to it anymore.
No, to be honest with you, I haven't listened to it. Boy, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, he's such, and maybe not publicly, but I guess seeing it firsthand really makes it hit home, because you really realize what a fraud this asshole is. You know, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is you just realize what an asshole he is.
Well, fraud is a good term.
Mm-hmm.
Because
he's phony.
You know, he is a phony. I mean, the way that he portrayed himself in that whole Rock of Love, you know, that was such selling yourself out to make $1.
Right.
I mean, personally, I could never do something so stupid.
No.
Oh, I'm going to find the next Mrs. Bret Michaels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just, I mean, I can even live with the TV part. That part, see, I can live with the public presentation. What I can't live with is that when you're behind closed doors, he's such a dick. You know, and just even the Randy thing, and I know we've played it on the show before about his publicist, and we can't speak to you because you haven't heard the material. You know, if I know anything, I know Randy Trask, Rockin' Randy. Randy knows everything there is to know about Poison at the time that interview was scheduled to be done.
Well, I agree. And actually, I have a photo of Randy and I and Bret Michaels together in Pittsburgh.
Second to Sebastian in Randy's world, I would think, would be Bret Michaels.
Probably, yes.
And for them to shit on this guy like he was a piece of shit because he had not heard 5 30-second clips. And that's what it was. It was a CD with 2.5 minutes of music.
Right.
5 30-second clips of 5 songs on Power to the People. Meanwhile, Randy had, he knew everything there was to fucking know about Bret Michaels. And she could hear how excited he was and just didn't give a fuck. Just didn't give a fuck. And after that was the last time I ever wanted to do anything with Bret. I don't think have we ever had him on the show since?
Not since then, no.
I get pitched it every time he puts out something, and I don't even respond to it. I do not want to be promoting Bret Michaels. Yeah. I want nothing to do with that. I want nothing to do with helping that fucking
I'm not going to shill his shit.
Fuck no. Fuck him. So he can, and dude, one of the interviews, I've got to find my tapes. And if Georgetta didn't throw out my tapes, I've got to find my tapes. Because I have a tape. I interviewed Bret once, and the interview, and I know I have this piece of it. It's like I have the minute before the interview started and then the interview.
Yeah.
And the minute before, it's Bret going, how fucking long is this interview going to be? How long are we going to do? Can we make, and I told him it's 20 to 25 minutes. He goes, can we keep it at 15? I just want to do 15. And I'm like, okay, dude, whatever. And he was real shitty.
Yeah.
He was just being a dick.
Well, condescending is what it is.
No, he was being a dick is what he was being. He was just being an asshole. And then I was like, okay, Bret, we're going to do the interview now. And I do the whole, hey, it's the metal show or the classic metal show or whatever it was. Or his music's bottom line. Or MBL Radio. Remember MBL?
Yeah, MBL Radio, yeah.
It was MBL Radio. And I was like, hey, we're on MBL Radio. And right now we've got Bret Michaels. How you doing, Bret? And Bret, total phony, 2 seconds ago, he was like, how long do I got to fucking deal with you? And then he's like, hey, buddy, how you been? Great to speak to you once again. I was like, ugh, you are a fucking jizzball.
Yeah, phony.
Just a fake, fucking fraudulent cocksucking fuck.
Yep.
Ugh, hate him. Hate him. And then the worst part was we finished the interview and I go, oh, Brett, what do you want to hear to wrap this up with? And he says, yeah, play this song or whatever. And I go, okay, so here it is. It's Bret Michaels with the whatever song it was. And I do the out. As soon as I do the out, I go to say, hey, Brett, thanks for your, click. Can't even fucking stay on the phone to say, well, thanks for having me or thank you or nothing. Just me going, okay, Brett, thanks for. I'm like, you motherfucker. You fucking cocksucker.
I'm out.
And since then, I'll never, I can make that promise. Unless you book it, it's never going to be on the CMS again.
Yeah.
No matter what, I'll never have Brett on the show again. I don't care what happens. I don't care if he joins the Dead Daisies. He's not coming on this show. Fuck him. Asshole. I hate that guy.
I know you do. There's few people that you have actual sincere disdain for, and that is one of them.
I genuinely dislike him. I dislike him more than I dislike my ex-wife.
Nice.
I do. If I had to spend an hour in a room, I would be more inclined to spend an hour in a room with my ex-wife than Bret Michaels. I would.
Well, fair enough.
Who would you spend? I'm not going to name her, but I'm just going to call her Pittsburgh Girl. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
An hour with Pittsburgh Girl or an hour with Bret Michaels?
Well, that's a tough one. Being that the wounds are still fairly fresh.
Yeah.
Boy. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to drown myself in the Monongahela River.
You don't think, which one would you ride from Pittsburgh to Chicago with?
Wow.
You had to do it again.
Oof.
Let's just say that the both of them you had an argument with there in Pittsburgh, and you got to get one of them home. Which one are you taking?
You know what? I'm gonna prove you wrong as in your earliest statements of the show tonight, and I'm gonna take a gamble just to see what happens. I'll take Brett.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh boy,
I might get a good story out of it.
Probably get the same conversation you had with the other one.
I'm gonna listen to my iPod. Just drive, fucky.
Yeah. Do you have to talk?
Yeah.
I'm going to make a few dozen phone calls so I can ignore you.
Do you have Wi-Fi in this car? I don't want to run up my data bill.
Do I have to ride in this car? How come you don't have a bus for me? Right. I'm Bret Michaels.
Exactly.
What a dick. God, I can tell you now, there's not a Bret Michaels. I think I'd rather take my chances riding across country with the BTK killer than Bret Michaels.
Well, at least you know who it is.
Yeah, at least that, and I mean, he would have some stories, hopefully. And if he didn't, well, whatever. I think I would take who would you take? BTK?
Yeah, I think he'd be more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, why'd you kill those people? Why'd you strangle them like that?
I'm not talking about as a prisoner. I'm talking about, he's the killer, but he's not like chained up or anything.
Yeah, well, yeah. But at least I know he's the killer, and at least I could ask him some questions.
Yeah. But he could kill you on the ride.
Yeah, you know what? What makes him any more powerful than me?
True.
I mean, his MO was the element of surprise.
True.
But if you know who he is and he's in your passenger seat, you know to watch out for him.
Yeah. Be hard to watch the road and watch him.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your hands, asshole?
Yeah, if we crash, you die too, fucker.
Yeah. I'll give you a ride, but nothing in your hands. So we both agree we would both rather ride across country with the BTK killer.
I think we would. I think we would get better stories.
I think we would too. And less attitude. Who would give you more attitude?
Oh, yeah. Brett would give you more attitude.
Right.
BTK,
right.
He's kind of ashamed he got caught.
Yeah. Here's a good one. Bret Michaels or John Bon Jovi?
Wow. Boy, that's equal dickism right there.
And your radio's broken.
Wow.
So it's a silence other than conversation.
Right.
And it's Bret Michaels or Bon Jovi.
Boy, who's got the bigger ego?
Could they both fit in your car?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good draw right there. I would draw the parallel that's pretty equal.
Would you bring back Pittsburgh Girl and take her instead of those two?
Just for the ride?
Yeah.
Just for the ride? Yeah, I think I could tolerate just the ride.
All right. Now you have to pick two of the three. Only two are going back with you. You got Bret Michaels, John Bon Jovi, Pittsburgh Girl. Oof. You have to take two of them.
All right. Well, I've met Bret.
Yeah.
Never met John. So just out of curiosity, I would take Pittsburgh Girl and John.
You would take Pittsburgh Girl over Pittsburgh Guy.
Yeah.
Because he's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's from Harrisburg.
Yeah. God, I don't know. The iciness that you got from Pittsburgh Girl versus just a douchebag. I think I might have to drive the car into the lake. I just have to do that. I don't know. Hopefully they're somehow stuck in the seat belts and they go in with the cars the Smith style. Ugh, what a horrible thought that is.
Yeah, just a miserable ride.
How bad is it that, the funny part is people think we're kidding. I don't think we are.
No, I don't think so either.
I really would rather ride with a cunty chick than fucking Bret Michaels or John Bon Jovi.
Right.
Wow. All right, enough of this bullshit. Do we have a topic or
let's take a break. Let's take a break.
All right, Jesus. We're just rambling about nothing and we're just fucking killing the show.
Yeah. So is there anything you'd like to hear?
Well, how about for Sammy Lee if we go with some Van Halen 3?
Yeah.
How about Ballad or the Bullet?
Okay. I think this will be the first time I actually play some Van Halen 3 on the show.
My first time you've ever
heard
it. Have you ever even listened to this record?
I have, just when it first came out.
One time?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's enough.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
For Sammy.
Yeah, this will be a first for me.
There you go. First time play.
Exactly. All right. Well, here's some Van Halen from the Van Halen 3 featuring Gary Cherone on lead vocal. And this is The Ballad or the Bullet exclusively here
on your classic metal show.